Welcome back guys to FTV Funtime Videos, and today I'm finally back making a Minion Rush video. Can you believe that, a Minion Rush video in 2020? It's actually been over a year since I have made a video on Minion Rush. But sadly though, even though this video is about Minion Rush, I will not be playing the actual game itself for this video, but instead I'll be discussing a topic that I believe should be more discussed in the Minion Rush community for the sake of the game's longevity. Hello there, it's me, post-production FTV Funtime Videos, and I'd just like to interrupt this video real quick to point something out. So, I've noticed that many of you who are subscribed to this channel are subscribed for my Roblox content, and as demonstrated in this video's title, this video is not about Roblox. Instead, this video will deal with a mobile game titled Minion Rush. Therefore, this video is primarily intended for the Minion Rush community. However, if you're not in the Minion Rush community but enjoy my videos, you can still stay around and watch the video despite this topic not affecting you as much as it does the Minion Rush community. It's up to you though whether you'd like to continue watching or not. Another thing I'd also like to point out is that even though it may seem like I'm hating on Minion Rush in this video, or making the game seem like a bad game, this is not the actual case. All I'm trying to do in this video is trying to give constructive criticism so that the Minion Rush can hopefully improve their game. Their game is already pretty good, however, I do believe they could make some changes to help the game thrive for a longer period of time. Anyways, now that I have stated this, let's return to the video. This topic, which I believe should be more discussed in the Minion Rush community, is the continuing downfall of the game. If you've been around the Minion Rush community for a while, you will have probably noticed how dead the game has become, especially in the last year. After the 5-year celebration update that Gameloft released on October 11, 2018, the game has received a considerable amount of criticism, especially from its OG veteran players. Some YouTubers such as Jaden Tries Minion Rush and GameTeep also stopped making videos on the game for a while due to the game's lack of features compared to previous versions. Additionally, due to this update, the official Minion Rush Facebook page's likes even declined from having 1 million likes at one point, down to at the current moment of recording this video having 983,000 likes. This update itself was probably one of the main causes for the game's continued downfall in popularity and player count. Although Minion Rush was never a huge mobile hit, except for during its release, the downfall of the game is still noticeable within the game's community. Now, even though the 5-year celebration update was a major factor in the decrement of player activity, I have found that there are more factors affecting Minion Rush's downfall. These factors include unreliability, miscommunication from both developers and players, lack of competitivity, lack of innovation, and lack of currency value. First, let's start off with the unreliability aspect. So, right now, you may be asking, what do you mean by unreliability? Well, here's what I mean. What I mean is that the game, overall, is not a reliable game to play progress-wise. In simpler terms, it's not a good game to play and spend money on constantly if you expect to keep all your achieved progress and its value. To better understand, here's an example. Whenever Gameloft updated to the 5-year anniversary update, many features and currencies of the game were removed. To compensate, Gameloft exchanged players' currencies, such as blueprints, golden tickets, and bananas, some of which were discontinued, for new items like custom cards that were more useful in the new version of the game. While this sounded like a good idea at first, once this exchange occurred, many players were met with disappointment. For instance, Jaden Robinson from Jaden Tries Minion Rush found that upon the update, his millions of painstakingly earned bananas had been turned into a few hundred useless custom cards that were nowhere near close to the value of bananas he had previously. In the following video, you can see Jaden's reaction to this unfair exchange caused from the update.
Honestly, they say, oh, it's been converted 1-to-1. Yeah, alright, sure, whatever. At least give us tokens. Oh wait, but they do give us tokens. Alright, you remember all those bananas we collected? The hundreds upon hundreds, millions upon millions for most people of them bananas, yeah. Well, transferred them into tokens, right? Remember how we used to have to pay, like, 6,000 tokens to get 2,200,000 bananas, right? Guess how much bananas converted to? 1 million for one token. Alright, Gameloft, you scam artist. Alright. Let me have a look at Vacationer real quick. Oh, I know what that is. Yeah, that's something very annoying. If you had a lot of upgrades and like perks and stuff, such as myself, they translate them into costume cards. Why do I have 123,000 Vacationer tickets, Gameloft? I don't need them.
Apart from this, players that had already achieved the final level in the previous version of the game were forced to have to start from the beginning in the new version. Even worse, players had to play the game for multiple minutes to unlock only some of their previously unlocked costumes. Not all of their costumes, just some. Luckily, this was later changed in another update of the game. However, this wasn't the first time Gameloft completely changed the game. The first time this happened was with the Jelly Lab update on July 30th, 2014, which also received some criticism from players, but not as much as the 5-year celebration update did. As a matter of fact, after a year since the Jelly Lab update, most Minion Rush players had stopped complaining about it. On the other hand, people are still complaining to this day about the 5-year celebration update. The scary part about Gameloft making big updates to the game constantly is that there is nothing stopping them from doing this again in the future. This is why the game is unreliable. The next factor that is contributing to the game's downfall is the fact that there has been some miscommunication from both developers and players of the game. This claim I'm making is very evident from the 5-year celebration update introduction video that was posted on the official Minion Rush YouTube channel. In this video, Manuel, the community manager for Minion Rush at that time, stated, "We wanted to celebrate this update with our community of players by incorporating your feedback and making some fun improvements to the game." This meant that there was a good, positive intent with the celebration update. However, there was some clear miscommunication here with the feedback, because if we actually check out the feedback that was provided, we can see the developers didn't actually take it fully into account. As seen here from posts made back in 2014, people had suggested a banana to token converter, yet this feature was never considered, mainly because it would make Gameloft lose money. Also, a useful use for bananas was also a feature which has been asked by players for years. Although Gameloft did actually give a slightly more useful use for bananas in the 5-year celebration update, it ultimately failed as the currency is hidden from many of the game's main menus except the shop. The only use for bananas in this current version of the game is simply to buy mediocre prize pots that don't reward many useful items, which makes the currency nearly pointless. Instead, a banana coin currency has replaced bananas as a main currency with this update. The banana coin currency, similar to how bananas used to work, is mainly used to upgrade already unlocked costumes and to buy custom cards from the shop. Personally, I would have preferred to have bananas work like the banana coins in this update, since it would have made the bananas much more useful. Honestly, it makes more sense to use bananas as a main currency within the game, since it's literally what you collect during a run. At this point, bananas are just there simply as decoration. I feel like Gameloft should consider giving bananas some type of actual use in the game. Anyways, this is simply my opinion, and you're free to disagree or agree. The third factor that has caused for Minion Rush's recent downfall is a lack of competitivity. This lack of competitiveness was not present in past versions of the game until its 5-year celebration update. Before the 5-year celebration update, there were many competitive multiplayer features within the game. For instance, there were minion races, time attack, and other events, all of which rewarded either tokens, bananas, blueprints, or in some cases even costumes. There were always at the very least 2 of the minion races, time attacks, or events going on at all times. The problem with these online features though was that they were prone to hackers ruining the game. This is a problem for nearly every online multiplayer game. Due to these hackers, many players complained about the minion races and how the hackers always stole the first place prize. Going back to the 5-year celebration update introduction video from earlier, Manuel had stated they had incorporated players' feedback into the update. This leads me to assume they removed the minion races, time attacks, and events due to the amount of people who complained about the hackers in these game modes. In an attempt to compensate for the removal of minion races and other such features, Gameloft added a tournaments feature in the 5-year anniversary update. The goal of the tournaments game mode is to run for as long as possible to get the highest score. However, not many players actually participate in the tournament since all you're doing is competing mainly with friends and a few random users. Also, there is no reward for winning, so the tournaments really have no use since they don't benefit you progress-wise. Even if you're in first place, there is nothing to really show off since there is no way for others to see your hard-earned progress in the whole game. All there is to show off is a series of worthless numbers that do not benefit you in any way. The fourth factor that has contributed to the game's downfall is a lack of innovation. Similar to the lack of competitiveness, the lack of innovation was not an issue before the 5-year celebration update. In fact, there have been many innovative and fun features that Minion Rush has released for their game in the past. Some of these include boss battles, multiplayer minion races, time attack, special missions, events, and minion varieties. Minion races and time attack have been specifically the most innovative features to come to Minion Rush, as no other arcade endless runner game similar to Minion Rush has achieved anything like it. Whenever the Minion races released, lots of the community was excited and loved the update. David Place, former Minion Rush YouTuber, even stated that it was probably the most drastic update since the Jelly Lab. In his video titled Minion Races, it is clearly shown that he enjoyed the new update, and simply going to the comment section of the video will show how much the community enjoyed the update. The boss battles feature was also a pretty innovative feature that was added to Minion Rush and still remains in the game to this day. Although some endless runners had already added bosses within their games, the way Minion Rush implemented them was pretty innovative. However, the last time a new boss was added to the game was back in 2014 with the villain Triloquist. Ever since then, there has not been a new boss added to the game, despite there being many opportunities for adding bosses such as with Balthazar Brat. Minion Rush even teased about a Brat boss battle when they released Brat Slayer, but it only led to a major disappointment. After the 5-year celebration update, the boss battles have been made less relevant as they only appear as missions very rarely. A game mode that focuses around boss battles within the game would be a pretty interesting concept if implemented correctly. The final innovative feature that Minion Rush has released has been the minion varieties. This feature, which had its initial release on March 25 of 2015, added a one-eyed minion character to the game which could be purchased for $20 US. By purchasing this minion, you would be granted the option to exchange between the main character, Dave, and Carol, the one-eyed minion, if you happen to stumble into an obstacle mid-run. The only catch was that it would cost 5,000 bananas to do the switch, but it was a pretty good price in my opinion. Finally, the last factor that is causing the game's constant downfall is the lack of monetary value in the game's costumes and collectibles. What do I mean by this? Well, let me explain. So assuming most of you have played games such as Fortnite, Team Fortress 2, Overwatch, or Roblox, you'll know that all of these games contain some type of collectible item which has a value within the game that can be transferred to real life money. For instance, in Fortnite, there's the Galaxy skin, which is a somewhat rare skin. Since it's a rare skin, its value is higher compared to the more common skins, such as a Skull Trooper. The same concept can be applied to Roblox, in which there are limited accessories. These limited accessories have a limited amount of copies, which means only a specific amount of people can have these items. Due to this, these accessories have a higher monetary value due to their rarity. However, in Minion Rush, the costumes do not have an actual monetary value since obtaining the costumes mainly depends on pure luck. In past versions of Minion Rush, costumes worked similar to skins in Fortnite. A clear example of this is with the Lucy costume. If we go to the Minion Rush wiki, there's an image from an older Minion Rush version in which it is shown that the costume was quite expensive, but also appeared in the shop for a limited time. The price, combined with the timer, made the costume more rare and valuable, which meant it was more worth it to own it compared to other more common costumes that were always available in the shop. The problem with the new version is that all of the costumes can be obtained at any time, and therefore there is nothing special about the costumes since anyone can have every costume at any time. The value of the costumes are also random as they are not based off an in-game currency, which actually has a value, but rather they're based off costume cards, which are obtained randomly in the game through prize pods, and those prize pods don't really have a set value. In conclusion, these are all the factors I believe have caused for Minion Rush's recent downfall. If you disagree with any of the points I've made during this video, please let me know your opinion in the comment section below. I'd also like to reiterate that this video wasn't meant to make Minion Rush seem like a bad game, but rather give constructive criticism to the developers so they can hopefully make some positive changes to the game for the sake of its longevity. I do have to say that Minion Rush has also done many good things with the game, despite all these negative things. If I have time, I'll probably make another video pointing out all the good things Gameloft has done with the game. With this being said, hopefully you all enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video, and goodbye, everybody.
3, 2, 1. Go, 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 go.